Today we're going to do smoked pepperoni bread. We'll start off by making some homemade dough, layering everything up with some cheese, pepperoni, some garlic salt, topping the whole thing off with some pizza seasoning, and then into the smoker. It adds an extra level of flavor to the stuff that is, in my opinion, puts it over the top. My name is Rich. This is RACZ Barbecue and Grill. Let's get cooking. Okay, smoked pepperoni bread. We're going to start with making the homemade dough. This is an optional step. You don't have to do this. You can go and buy the Pillsbury dough that's available at the grocery stores and roll that out and use it for the same purpose. Like I said, I'm making my own though, so we will start 3 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of white sugar, and 1 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm using a finely granulated sea salt. You can use kosher, it's fine. Let's get this into the mixer now. Give it a quick stir. Just putting it on a low speed, number 2 on the KitchenAid mixer. Just get things stirred up a little bit first. And I have a 1.5 cups of warm water, 40 seconds in the microwave, got me to about 105 degrees. You want to be between 100 and 110 degrees to activate the yeast. So before we put the water in, just kind of change out the paddle for the dough hook. Add in our water. And then about a tablespoon of oil. That down, back on speed 2. And we'll let this go until we get our ball dough. Okay, the dough is done kneading, so we'll get it out of the mixer. First, I'm just going to put down a little bit of flour on the surface here just to work it into a ball. Everything scraped down off of the hook. And just out of the bowl onto the countertop. It's going to be sticky, but that's okay. It's expected. So some flour up on top of it so we can work it with our hands. Get it into a ball, tucking everything underneath it. A little bit of oil in a bowl. Get it all wiped around on the inside, bottom and the sides. Go into the bowl. I like to put it down top first. Get a little bit of oil on there. Then we're going to cover the bowl with some plastic wrap. I love dealing with this stuff. Best as you can, tight as you can. Then we want to put it into a relatively warm area, either the microwave or the stove turned off, and give it about an hour for it to rise. It'll come up to about double its size, and then you can start rolling it out and building the pepperoni bread. Okay, the dough has been rising for an hour now, so we're ready to roll this thing out and start assembling the pepperoni bread. Before we pull it out of the bowl, we're just going to get some flour down on the countertop. A little bit of flour on the rolling pin, as well as our hands. And we're just going to roll this out into a rectangle best we can. It's not going to be perfect. We're not going to have 90-degree corners on this. You want to keep the thickness between 1/8 and 3/16 of an inch. You don't want to go too thick because it'll be too doughy. You don't want to go too thin because then it'll split on you. Usually, truth be told, when I'm doing this, it almost always splits. But it doesn't split in a way where everything comes out of it. It still holds together, so just get it in shape the best you can. First step is we're going to put the pepperoni down. I've got sandwich pepperoni. They're obviously larger. You can use the smaller ones, that's fine. I just find using the larger ones, it's a little bit easier to roll everything up. The smaller ones tend to push around when you do that. So we just want to layer everything, kind of like shingles. We're going to overlap them so we get good coverage, leaving about a 1/2 inch to an inch along the edge. Just go all the way down, make continuous rows. And as you can see, my dough isn't in a rectangle shape, it's more of a blob, but it's fine. We'll get everything rolled up and it all tucked together nicely for us. This is one of the good things about making these yourself. Generally, when you buy them pre-made in the grocery store or the bakery, they kind of get a little skimpy on the cheese and the pepperoni. We're not skimping on either of those things. I'll load this baby up. Pepperoni's on. We're gonna go to the cheese now. Now traditionally, pepperoni bread has mozzarella cheese in it. I am using Muenster cheese today, and the reason that I'm using Muenster cheese is one time I went to make this and we were out of mozzarella. And my wife said, well, we have Muenster in there. I'm like, okay, we'll give that a shot. Because I did not want to run out to the store just to get some mozzarella. So we tried the Muenster and ended up liking it better than the mozzarella. So we'll just have full slices, as you can see here. You can absolutely use shredded cheese. That's, again, something else I think that's traditionally used is shredded. Slices work just as well. It's all gonna melt anyway. So again, overlap a little bit. We want good coverage on everything. And technically, pepperoni bread is nothing more than a pepperoni and cheese stromboli. So keeping that in mind, you could add sausage and peppers and bacon, and you can make this into a stromboli and then eat it for dinner, or if you just go with the pepperoni and cheese, and it could be dinner as well, but we're going for more of an appetizer. We'll slice this up into bite-sized pieces. So that's the pepperoni and cheese. Next up is garlic powder. In my opinion, more garlic the better, but do this to taste. If you're a garlic fan, get it on there. If not, leave it out. I'm here to show you guys. I'm not here to tell you guys. So make these however you want. They're gonna come out delicious no matter what you do. So, okay, we've got pepperoni on, we've got the cheese on, we've got the garlic powder on. Now we need to get this thing rolled up. Now we have our 3 ingredients on. It's time just to roll this whole thing up, just to help get it off the counter a little bit to get started. I've got a scraper going. So just gonna get up under the edge and make sure it's not really sticking. And it shouldn't be because we have the dough there. But just to kind of get it going. We're just gonna roll. Nice and even. Work the sides, middle, the opposite side. If you see your cheese or pepperoni shifting around, go ahead and push it back in place. Tuck your corners around and down. And since we're doing this in the smoker, I'm just gonna throw it on some parchment paper. We need an egg wash, so just 1 egg. Just beat that up. And we're gonna brush the entire top and sides of this with the egg wash. This will help add a little bit of color. It's also gonna be the binder for our pizza seasoning. Now we need to vent the top of it, so we're just gonna cut slits across it. I generally like to cut them about the thickness of the slices I'm gonna cut when everything is done. I'll just make the slits all the way down. This helps vent everything else too, so it'll help us a little bit preventing it from splitting. Like I said, it usually splits on me anyways, so don't be discouraged if it does. I am using, for the pizza seasoning, the Grilling Gods Slice of Heaven. This is really good stuff. They're not a sponsor, I just enjoy their product. Sprinkle this all the way down the top. Okay, and that's it. We're done. We're ready to put this thing into the smoker, so let's get it outside. So I have my Recteq bowl set to extreme smoke setting, which is 180 degrees Fahrenheit. We're gonna run this for 15 minutes in that extreme smoke setting, just because we're gonna finish it off at 400 degrees. And when we're running a smoker, a pellet smoker specifically, at that high of a temperature, you're not gonna get a lot of smoke. So that's why we're running 15 minutes at 180 degrees. So the dough picks up some of the smoke flavor. And we'll come back at 15 and crank this thing up to 400. Okay, we've been running for 15 minutes now. And just to show you what it looks like after that time, got a slight hint of the smoke color on top of it, and it is starting to rise a little bit. We're gonna leave it in place and crank the smoker up to 400 degrees. We're almost done. We're gonna let this finish up at 400 degrees, about 20-25 minutes, and cut into it. Okay, it's been 25 minutes, so it's time to pull this thing out. Look at that, that is gorgeous. I gave this a 5-minute rest after I pulled it out of the smoker. We're gonna slice into it now, show you what it looks like on the inside. I'm excited. You can see along the edge here, we did start to split a little bit, but like I said, it's okay. Nothing fell out. We're just gonna go right across one of our slits, cut right into the middle of this. And look at that. Phenomenal, man. These, oh God. Let's get a piece off. And I promise you guys are gonna love this one, especially in the smoker. Man, it just gives it a whole nother flavor profile. Look at all that cheese coming out of there. Just oozing out. Like I was saying before about the cheese, usually it's mozzarella, but this Muenster, it's a little notch up. Taste the garlic powder, obviously the pepperoni. So I'm gonna slice this up and serve it up as an appetizer. Hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, I'd appreciate you giving it a like. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. Again, recipe is in the description below. So as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody's time, and we'll see you next time.